Well, hello, and welcome to another episode of Woke by Accident podcast. I am your host, Jenn Washington. This is a weekly chat about socially conscious topics impacting the culture. I would like to extend my gratitude in you listening to this podcast. It means everything to me, and I hope it is clear that this subject matter is so important to me. I care about our people, our future, and making a positive change in this nation. Hey guys, on this episode of Woke by Accident podcast, I would like to talk about the shooting of Jacob Blake from Kenosha, Wisconsin. He's a 29-year-old African American male who was shot by the police last Sunday. We will talk about the protests that have went on in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and celebrities who have made a sign of solidarity in support of Jacob Blake. Next, we will talk about the Crown Act. You may recall on episode 7 of Woke by Accident podcast, we did talk about the 1 year anniversary of the Crown Act, which is a California law which prohibits the discrimination of hairstyles. So when we wear our hair in braids, or if we wear our hair in a natural style, and we have the risk of losing our job or other consequences, this is where the Crown Act would come to play. So we will talk about that a bit. We will also talk about Breonna Taylor. Last weekend, there was a 4-day convention called BreonnaCon. Now, this was organized by the Until Freedom organization, but some folks on Twitter were not too happy about the name choice of the events, BreonnaCon, and some reference of the Breonna barbecue. So we'll talk about that a bit as well. On August 23rd in Kenosha, Wisconsin, police officers were responding to a domestic incident. Individuals on the scene state that Mr. Blake was trying to de-escalate a domestic incident. And then this is where the police drew their weapons. And there is video footage that someone recorded this particular incident. And we see Jacob Blake walking towards the front of the SUV, and there are two officers behind him. And as he tries to open the car door and leans into the car, one officer can be seen grabbing his shirt and opening fire. 7 shots can be heard in the video as witnesses scream. Jacob Blake's 3 children were seated in the back seat of the car. Jacob Blake has been left paralyzed from the waist down. Doctors have not stated if it is permanent. On August 26th, the Wisconsin Attorney General, Josh Kaw, did announce that the Kenosha police officer who shot Blake 7 times was Ruskin Shesky. I want to share a clip of Jacob Blake's sister who made comments to the media. Very powerful words. I like to share that.
I am my brother's keeper. And when you say the name Jacob Blake, make sure you say father. Make sure you say cousin. Make sure you say son. Make sure you say uncle. But most importantly, make sure you say human. Human life. Let it marinate in your mouth, in your mind. A human life. Just like every single one of y'all and everywhere around the world. We're human. And his life matters. So many people have reached out to me telling me they're sorry that this happened to my family. Well, don't be sorry, because this has been happening to my family for a long time. Longer than I can account for. It happened to Emmett Till. Emmett Till is my family. Philando, Mike Brown, Sandra. This has been happening to my family. And I've shed tears for every single one of these people that it's happened to. This is nothing new. I'm not sad. I'm not sorry. I'm angry. And I'm tired. I haven't cried one time. I stopped crying years ago. I am numb. I'm not sad. I don't want your pity. I want change.
I think that sums up to how we are all feeling. We are numb. We keep seeing the police shootings happening over and over. There's some discussion of change with police departments and how they're going to take action, but it keeps happening. And we just want change. Following the shootings, there were protests that followed. The Kenosha County government did declare a state of emergency after police vehicles were damaged, a dump truck was set on fire, and the local courthouse was vandalized. Some businesses were set on fire. On the 25th, a 17-year-old male allegedly shot three protesters, killing two. He was later arrested at his home in Antioch, Illinois, on charges of first degree intentional homicide. He had been described as a police admirer and publicly expressed support of law enforcement and Blue Lives Matter. It's disheartening to hear the stories of violence and people that lost their lives in response to the shooting. However, it is good to see that all the reactions were not negative. We have several sports teams that took a stance and boycotted playing. We have the Milwaukee Bucks that boycotted their first round playoff game against the Orlando Magic. Major League Soccer players also boycotted 5 games and a collective statement against the racial injustice. The WNBA games were scheduled for the 26th and 27th were also postponed, and NHL postponed their 4 playoff games as well. This is definitely a time where we need to come together and try to seek justice